Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast. This week, I've got two very special guests. I've got Kyle, who is the writer-director, and Erin, who is the writer-producer of the film ZombieCon Volume 1. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having us.
having us, Jim.
It does fascinate me when you meet couples, because my wife's my producer as well. So and it is a really good situation to have somebody who's got your back in that role. But it must be weird. I'm not sure I could direct my wife as an actress. I'm not sure that would work out very well for us. So how does that work for you? How do you direct Erin acting? And does it ever get to a point where you sort of that husband-wife relationship comes back into it, or is there a kind of a line on set?
It's actually super easy. I mean, we kind of have a shorthand. She's a phenomenal actress, so very little direction is really needed after we break down the script, and she's always a part of the writing process, so she understands the character in and out. So actually getting to any kind of emotional peak, there might be a little bit of tension just in, okay, we need to go bigger or harder, and in an emotionally exhausting scene, with any actor, that can always be a bit tumultuous. But generally speaking, it's only served us on the beneficial side. We haven't really had any kind of negative, source of stress or
no big arguments.
We definitely have a complete shorthand. We're very direct with each other, and that helps so much, especially as an actor. Like, I know I'm in good hands. I know I'm going to get honest feedback. And he's not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to know if that take worked or didn't, or where I should go to get something a little bit different. So yeah, it's worked really well.
And being an actor, starting as an actor and then transitioning to director, I have a lot of sympathy for actors. So I'm not really, being confrontational is never going to get you the result you want. It's really just about wearing a patient's hat. And, every actor wants to do the best job they possibly can. They want to look great. They want the character to be great. They want the movie to be great. And it's just about finding the dialogue that helps them emotionally achieve the result that will best affect all of the above. So I think I'm pretty good with actors, generally speaking.
Very good with actors, yeah.
Cool, awesome. So the film, the most recent film is ZombieCon Volume 1. For people who haven't seen it, tell me what it's about and tell me how it all came together.
So we had done a streaming service way back in 2015. We thought that we could compete with YouTube, or at least we tried to. And we didn't quite have the budget for that. So we filmed like 9 series, had 9 apps in 9 months. So we were like moving. We knew how to produce things quickly, efficiently, on a tight budget and with a tiny team. And when the streaming service Now TV didn't really pan out, we didn't get the attention and the subscribers. No one knew what a streaming platform was other than Netflix back then. We decided we needed to go big or go home and make a feature film. So we were tossing around ideas. Nothing was really coming and sticking. Kyle then was in Florida visiting his brother.
Yeah, and I was walking. My brother collects every movie prop that he can get his hands on, whether they're replicas or real props, anything he can get. And I'm walking through his basically museum of a house, and I saw the Captain America shield on the wall, and I was like, wow, I'd love to kill a zombie with that. And that was the birth of the entire idea, and things started snowballing after that, and then trying to work in narratively, well, why is there a Captain America shield, or why is there a cosplay katana in the house? And that naturally got us to cosplayers, because I'd been a cosplayer my whole life. So yeah, it seemed like a very natural fit. And I was like, oh, there'll be a lot of very cool kind of, related to pop culture, but also realistically usable weapons that we could, put to use and be fun to actually see on the big screen.
If this backdrop fell, you would see a menagerie of props. I've got a shield on the wall, so I'm in that gang. And we're actually going to a Comic-Con on Saturday, so I when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, I get this. I kind of understand the language of it. One thing I'll jump to, which I was going to ask you about later on that, what would keep me up at night, and I don't, it sounds like it doesn't seem like it's an issue for you guys, but what would worry me is you'd get an angry letter from Marvel Studios because you got someone dressed as Gamora, or you've used one of their weapons to kill a zombie. Is that ever come into play? Is that covered by insurance? Is it a parody? Does that how you get away with it? What's your what stops you worrying about that?
So before, when I was in the writing process, before I could ever even start writing, I wanted to make sure legally we were in the clear. I had the exact same concerns. I'd found actually a video on YouTube from, I think, film one of the sites out there that does, like, indie filmmaker hustle. I don't know where it was, but it was Donaldson and Khalif, their lawyer agency. They had just recently put out a book talking about getting licensing for a movie that was shot in Disney World without without Disney's permission, of course, super low budget. And they were able to get that cleared. And they talked about how you could realistically use anything in the world within a film as long as contextually it fit within the narrative and was being used in the way in which it was intended to be used by the characters. And bought their book, read through it, contacted them, basically knew that we were legally in the clear but hadn't got the legal okay yet. Wrote the movie, filmed the movie, contacted them after the fact when we were able to say, okay, now we can actually pay them to basically get their sign off so we could get E&O insurance, because it is all covered. And the way that it basically worked was, because they are cosplayers and because, I would say that we didn't have anyone dressed up as Gamora. We had them dressed up as Gamora adjacent characters. We kind of tweaking everything enough so that we wouldn't, we didn't want to see like an actual, full on like Wolverine ripoff, a guy dressed in Wolverine, like actually slashing with fake claws at zombies. We might have gotten into some trouble there. It might have been more difficult, but all the costumes and elements were designed and staged in such a way that there was enough distance that fair use would cover it. Because in the context of cosplayers, it's impossible to be a cosplayer unless you're basically enacting a known IP. So the very idea of having a cosplayer in the movie, it freed up a ton of legal territory for us. And yeah, we haven't heard anything. I don't want to hear anything unless it's with a big movie deal or something,
Yeah, you've not. Kevin Feige's not knocked on the door yet and asked for money. That's good.
Although I wouldn't mind a call from Kevin, even if it was negative. I'll take an angry phone call.
Yeah. I'm glad you've been through that process. That makes me feel a lot better. And I guess because E&O insurance is kind of the bane of filmmakers' lives, because it costs a lot of money. But I guess this is the perfect place where it actually is protecting you. And it's brilliant you've done that research, because I know some people don't. Talk to me about your skills in your particular roles. So I'll go over to Erin for this one. So actor and producer, what do you think are the kind of key attributes you need to have those roles on a movie?
Doing them both at the same time on a project. Yeah. You need to definitely have a really good idea ahead of time what you want to do acting wise, who your character is, how you want to portray them, and the acting process in general, what tools you're going to use on set to get there, because you can't really separate until the moment that the director calls action. You're like in producer mode, and it's so hard to snap in just being an actor, because as a producer, like, you see everything going on set, and you're responsible for a lot of it, and you're trying to do your best to help situations and like put out fires as they're happening. So like, I'm not really a multitasker, but definitely being good at multitasking and being well prepared ahead of time, but also just making sure you know how to go with the flow and be calm, because like I said, fires are going to happen nonstop. And once you're actually rolling, you need to be able to put your producer hat to the side and just be in the moment and just be that character, because it's not going to work if you're thinking about every little last thing while you're supposed to be the actor. So be good at multitasking and be well prepared until the moment that action is called, and then you are in no way an actor. You're not a producer, you're just that character.
Now, she says she's not good at multitasking, but she's holding a baby while holding a book, showing it to her, and talking about all of this. So I don't know how true that is, but
yeah, I can see some multitasking going on there. So Kyle, what about you? What about writing and directing? I struggle with this myself. Is at what point do you leave the writer behind and just become that director and just spend your time on that, or are you kind of a mishmash of both on set?
Well, on this particular set, I wanted to make sure we had the locked in script, just because it was my first feature film. So, I didn't know how many things could possibly go wrong. Of course, more things than I ever imagined did go wrong, but it's kind of the nature of the business. In regards to like rewriting in the scenes or anything like that, didn't do any of that. I was completely focused on camera work, blocking, lighting, and alongside Erin, also producing, making sure the paperwork's filled out and making sure all the gear's in the right place and just all the tedious stuff that happens in order to get each shot off. So I think there was a pretty clear line once the script was written, once all the actors had it, once we had done a couple script reads and we kind of played throughout the movie. And we're like, okay, this is all going to work. There were probably a couple rewrites here and there when we were rehearsing it because we had rented rather a like little studio where we got all the actors together and just did like a dry rehearsal. That was it with the writing, and it was just then totally directing and focusing on the filmic elements and the technical side of trying to make sure everything came across. And the only kind of input I had in regards to story wise was trying to make sure that the emotional beats of the actors were hitting the mark for where they needed to be in the story, making sure that I guess just doing the directing side of the actors alongside with the technical stuff. So certainly a division of responsibilities there that was pretty clear.
And so if I jump now to, you've shot the film, looking back on it, both of you, what do you think is the biggest lesson from making this particular feature film?
Get more money.
More money.
No, honestly, I don't know. What would be your biggest lesson, Erin?
I guess is be a little bit more prepared, just as prepared as you can be. And we were very prepared, and you're never going to be totally ready, but everything that you can possibly align ahead of time, do your best to, because the moment that you start shooting, I liken that first day to a train leaving the station. Like every single moment, you're just bleeding money. Every single moment, you're like, we need to be getting this shot. There's chaos. There's things going wrong. There's a lot going right, and it's a lot of fun. But you don't have the time then to be sorting out extra problems or things that if you could have ironed out ahead of time, you just should have. So I guess just be as prepared as you can be, knowing that you're never going to be fully ready and you still got to jump in with both feet.
Yeah, and I would say, I guess the biggest takeaway that I had or lesson that I learned was something that we had kind of learned in the process that Erin was speaking about earlier with the short films and the series, but was really evident in the production on the feature because it was so much bigger than anything else we had done. And that was leaning into potential disaster to find a creative solution, and that those creative solutions will sometimes trump anything that you could have written or even thought about prior to. And it's kind of like the film gods, like they deliver you a huge problem, but if you can creatively solve that problem, you'll end up with a possible solution that it's just magic. And that's kind of where like the quote unquote, I felt like the magic was happening, was not necessarily when everything was going as planned, but when all the actors are run down, we're having a terrible time, the blocking isn't working, everything is a disaster, everyone's exhausted, and it's like, well, we had a break day tomorrow, let's wrap early, we're gonna shut it down for the night, everyone grab a drink, grab some food, let's just play some music, we'll come back tomorrow and get this scene on the off day as long as everyone's good. And then that day everyone comes in fresh, excited, you reblock the entire scene, everything looks totally different, and it works perfectly. So it's kind of just being flexible enough, rigid enough to follow a plan, but flexible enough to adapt to kind of the changing circumstances that will absolutely happen on any set.
And as an actor and a producer, 10 out of 10 recommend having a pizza party that's impromptu with drinks and watching dailies, because when you look with all of you around you, you just been through another battle in this big war of production, and you're taking a moment to relax and watch some of the footage that you just struggled to get, and you're seeing the magic and what is going to be there on film, and it's so exciting, and it makes everyone, like, the camaraderie just gets like reboosted, you're energized, and you're like, okay, if we could, if the struggle is worth it if this is what we're getting. So 100%.
Yeah, that's something I've never done actually, is watched footage in front of cast or even crew. I think I'd be I'm one of these people who it goes on the hard drive and then no one sees it until it's edited and it's ready to screen. So maybe I should try that. I'm not sure if I can quite let go of that yet.
Well, I'll guarantee that the actors will be very happy to watch themselves.
Yeah.
The actors
Oh,
will
yeah.
never miss a chance to say that.
Yeah. Definitely. So then one of the main questions always get asked, so let's cover it, is, so was it self-financed, or did you raise money for it? How did you fund the movie?
So we started with an Indiegogo, and we
Oh, right.
raised a little bit of money through that. Mainly, I think it was all friends and family. I don't know how many people like outside of our network actually supported the film. And then we put in obviously our own money as much as we could scrape together. And then we had a private investor come in to kind of cover what we were missing. It got us to a total of a $60,000 budget, and 30,000 of which we put towards equipment and gear. We bought the camera, which I don't know if we would have done again, but it worked out for us because it gave us the flexibility, because we own the apartment where we did a large part of the shooting. I was thinking, well, price for camera rental, extended period, first feature. This will give us flexibility if we have to come back, do any kind of reshooting. And then, lighting equipment, C-stands that literally they're supporting the lights right now. The C-stands are a great investment because they never go bad.
Always. These scans and hard drives.
Yeah. Well, the hard drives are hit or miss, but yeah.
Yes. So then that leads nicely onto the other thing I always get asked, which is, what's it shot on?
It was shot on the Canon C300 Mark II, recording out to, I think it was a Ninja Atmos. I can't remember the model name, but it was the one that allowed you to record 4K RAW out of the Canon C300 Mark II, because they had gate kept the actual technology within the camera. So you needed the C500 at the time to shoot 4K RAW. And I wanted 4K RAW because I had been working a lot in DaVinci prior to that, and I wanted that flexibility. And that's what we shot. We're actually shooting on that camera right now for this live stream, so it stayed with us.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks good. These beautiful, colors in it, nice picture quality, and you never know what you're going to get with a zombie film. So I didn't know until I pressed play that I was going to get that production value. So let's jump to the end. You've made the film, you put it together. Where are you with sales and distribution? Is it out? Is it coming out? What's the sort of score there?
So it's currently available in North America on VOD, basically anywhere that you can buy or rent movies, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Fandango at home, you name it, you can find it there. We're still, I feel like, discovering places where you can buy or rent it.
Actually, all the links are on zombieconvolume1.com.
ZombieCon Vol 1.
I'm sorry, Vol.
Just VOL1.com. But then also, excitingly, we're having our DVD release October 14th. So coming up.
Yeah, we got to do a filmmaker's commentary for that, it was super surreal because I grew up watching, behind the scenes, basically growing up in the 90s in New Jersey, didn't have any access to anyone in the film industry. Making movies was like a dream occupation. I never actually thought that I'd ever do it. So I'd watch all the bonus features and extra features with my dad. And so we got to film the filmmaker's commentary. And I just had to keep pinching myself, being like, oh my God, this is actually going to be on a DVD. I don't know how many people will buy the DVD, but it's pretty cool. It'll be out there. I'll definitely own a copy.
And we filmed it here on this couch.
Oh, really?
Film, yep.
Well, it's certainly, a DVD commentary is certainly something I miss, and they don't seem to do it as often as I would like on films. When you buy a film these days, it's something they need to get back into. So are those the VOD release and the DVD release? Have you gone direct to distributors, or are you working with a sales agent?
So we went through a sales agent, MPX. They've been fantastic, and they connected us with Level 33, who is our distributor, and they've also been fantastic. So
yeah, there's a lot of great advice online if you search out other indie filmmakers. I think there's like a Facebook group that support indie filmmakers. It's a bunch of YouTube channels. If you poke around, you can find some advice and personal experiences. And of course, not everyone is going to be sharing the good, the bad, or if it's a okay situation, but we did the best we could research-wise, and we're very happy with both MPX and Level 33. So stay tuned for international distribution. We're hoping to come to the UK soon. Have some good news around the corner.
Yeah, hopefully TIFF was good for everyone.
Good. Well, I certainly hope so. One thing I did notice that you seem to have done really well with is reviews. Now, is that was that the distributor sorting those reviews out? Was that you guys sending screeners out? How did you manage to get so many?
So I know that the distributor did have a PR person on board who did a good job of getting our first initial kind of wave of reviews. But since then, really a lot of it, especially from the online community, the horror podcast community, has been all Erin just personally reaching out via socials. And do you want to?
It's just like everything with indie filmmaking. It's like you can only rely so much. And we were very thankful, like Kyle said, that Level 33 came with a publicist in house who gave us that first wave and first push. But it is difficult once the first launch is over. It's kind of more up to you to see if you can drum up any press. And I have been very fortunate to get really great feedback and responses. Bless you. She always sneezes twice. Really great responses from like the horror film review community is insanely amazing. The podcast community, especially when you reach out on social media, are great. So just like I was saying with doing research on distributors and everything, like it's amazing the amount of people that you can access or information if you just take the time to reach out and to look for it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And did you go down the festival route, or is that something you didn't bother with, or is that still on the cards?
So it's an interesting story behind that. We did go down the festival route initially, and primarily it was we wanted to bring attention to the film, but we had actually done some test screenings at conventions, so like LA Comic Con, because we really wanted test screenings was the key. Obviously, if someone had came out of the woodworks and said, "Oh, I've seen your movie at so festival or this thing, I've got to have it for $10 million," that would have been, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's the best thing ever. That did not happen, unfortunately. But our festival outing was more to do with getting test screenings, see how the audience was reacting, so that we could basically rearrange the edit. So with the movie about, I'd say, 3/4 of the way done, we did go into, I think, the Orlando International Film Festival, a couple other ones, but we ended up winning an award at Orlando, and we got nominated for a bunch of others. And winning that award pinned us on IMDb as now completed and released, which was something I didn't know was a thing. I thought like you had to actually release the movie to be counted as a release. And that created a whole headache because that was originally called Zombie Con. So if you look on IMDb, there's a Zombie Con 2018, a Zombie Con Volume 1 2024. And especially when COVID happened, I mean, I ripped apart the entire movie, re-edited the whole thing, recolor corrected the whole thing, did all the sound design over again. We rescored it. And so it's a totally different movie. And we had to retitle it eventually in order for it to qualify as a 2024 movie, which was very important for the distributor and sales agent because they're like, we can't sell a film that was made in 2018. That's just not, it's not going to work like that. So we did do festivals, mixed bag with that. Not sure how much help it did or did not give us, but ultimately it was a fun experience. I mean, film festivals, getting to hang out with other filmmakers and talk shop. I mean, that's really the really fun part about it, to be honest.
Yeah, and that IMDb thing, it's interesting because what happens is you make a feature film. I've had this experience before, and obviously your actors want to pop that credit up on IMDb, but the danger is, like you say, is as soon as it's up there, it gets dated, and you never know. Like your film took a while to put together. I've had ones that have taken a while to put together, and you don't want any timestamp on it until the moment it comes out. Otherwise, like you say, distributors look at it and go, "Oh God, this hasn't been released and it was finished in 2018." So it's a good tip for filmmakers. Don't rush to get it on IMDb. There's no reason it needs to be on IMDb until you finished it anyway.
Yep.
So you know, keep your powder dry there. I was going to ask you. So obviously, I make horror movies myself. Give me some tips. What are your tips for working with blood, gore, all that kind of stuff?
Get a great makeup artist.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, but you know, having been able to see, we had a great makeup artist on ZombieCon. His name was Joseph Drabesco, and he did a fantastic job. And he taught me a lot as we were going through the filming process, because there were times when, you know, he eventually had to go back to New York, and I was there needing to apply like a black eye to our actor to do a, you know, I'm blanking here, a reshoot, pickup shot, you know. So when it comes to makeup and effects, either more is more or less is more, and it totally depends on the effect. With blood sprays, more is always better. With any kind of like bruising, especially with the eyes, sometimes less is more. So it really just comes down to, if you're an artist and you can work yourself around a makeup kit, just try to apply that artistic eye to whatever you're doing. And I don't know. I mean, all right, I'll give one last piece of advice, which is the only real piece of advice I think I'm like actually qualified to give, because everything else I don't know if you should listen to me on that. But
okay.
Sorry about that. The blood that we used for the spray, we used a pump sprayer, like you'd for weeds. And the tip that he did, which seemed to make it work a lot better, was to dilute the blood to make it less viscous with a little bit of water, or I think it was water or alcohol, some sort of mixture, and that allowed it to flow more smoothly through the sprayer.
Right, that is a good tip. And I wish I made a film called Bane years ago. We had the exact same thing, the pump sprayer. You'd use it a couple of times, and then, like you say, the blood would get all sticky, get stuck in it, and then it wouldn't have quite the same. And I think in the end, our go-to was a 2-liter Coke bottle that someone would just slam together, and that would give you quite a nice plume, but not quite as controllable as the spray is. Quite nice because you can literally aim it at people, whereas the Coke bottle looks amazing, but if you get it wrong, it's all going off, out of the shot. You don't get it on camera. That's a good one.
We had a similar story with one of the stabs we were doing an insert shot for, and we had to get this stab in the heart, and I just saw this blood spraying everywhere. And of course, we're doing this like a year or two after we got done with principal photography. And I was like, let's just tape a bag of blood to the chest of the mannequin. We'll throw a shirt on it. We'll do an extreme close up. It'll be great. And Erin was questioning me. She's like, I don't think it's going to work the way you think it's going to work. And I was like, no, it'll work. Trust me. And I didn't tape the sleeve shut on the mannequin. And of course, it was kind of on the left side. So when this bag of blood got hit, all of the blood, instead of erupting through the hole I just made, shot out the side of the arm. And we had a very nice couch that was sitting right there, not this red leather one, which would have been a problem, but it was like a couch we were holding for someone, and it was like this nice green embroidery. It just got covered in blood, which then we spent like the next 2 hours trying to clean it up, which we got most of it out. So
yeah, that's the other side to micro budget working with blood and gore and stuff, is cleaning it up, because if you leave it out, it starts to smell. Even the pro blood stuff starts to stink, so you do have to clean it up, which can be very sticky work. And probably like you guys, me and my wife Laura, we'd probably be the ones. I mean, even on the last film, the crew had all gone off to the pub, and we're the ones scrubbing the corridor floor to get this blood out, so we don't get told off by the people who let us use the location. My other tip for anything with blood is to always backlight it, because it will make the liquid stand out rather than losing it. That's the other thing we've done before. We did beautiful blood spray, but if the room's too dark, you're not going to see it. So backlight it. Carry on. Sorry, what were you going to say, Carl?
No, I love that. That's a fantastic piece of advice. I was going to say, in our own journey of cleaning up fake blood, we actually left it out as a kind of a hot set again for reshoots, and this blood was on the floor for probably like a month or 2 months after. And when I finally got around to cleaning it, it had turned into basically cement, and it was, stuck so like securely to the floor that I remember I had to use a paint chipper to scrape the paint off the wooden floors without trying to scratch the wooden floors. And right up until the end, when we were finally selling our apartment 10 years after making the film, the real estate agent said, I got to get someone in here to repaint this place. The white color's in right now. This is older coloring, whatever. I was like, okay, you're the boss, just whatever. What sounds great. The painter comes through. I'm walking him through the house. I hadn't pulled this curtain open in like 10 years. And I pull a curtain open to one of the windows, and there's this giant blood spray from the movie that's all over the wall. And I felt like the guy, because we're in Los Angeles too. So it's like the guy was like, oh, what's that? I was like, oh, that's fake. That's from a movie. That's from a movie.
That's what a serial killer would say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. That's a good excuse. Oh God. So what I'll do is, I'm glad Erin's come back. I'll just ask you both the question I ask all my guests, my final question, and I'll start with you, Erin. While you can, because you've got Anya on your lap there. What have you got a motto? Have you got like a mantra, especially specifically that you say to yourself or that gets you through filmmaking?
I don't, but that's a good question. I need to get one. I think I think with this film, it was just constantly like at the end of every day and finally laying, my head down in a pillow, I'd be like, remember that this is amazing fun. And once the whole production is done, it's going to be in the can and we'll get to sort through the footage. Kyle will edit it. It's going to work out. It's going to look great. Each of the days are going to exhaust you, but just remembering what you're there for and that this is just
handing the baby
over to Dad.
Just that this is just, one piece of the puzzle. And while like when you're in the moment, it seems like every last thing is critical, and it is, kind of taking a bird's eye view for a second and remembering it's just a piece of it. At the end of the day, as long as you get all the footage or you'll get it later, it's all going to work out. So it's another version of keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Kyle? Have you got a motto?
I don't really have a motto, but if I had to go with one like kind of key thing is that basically writing is free, right? It costs your time, but do everything you can to make sure you work out as many problems as you can in the writing process, because pencils are very cheap and cameras and filming and actors and crafty, all this stuff is very expensive. So,
Oh, you know what? I did come up with a good mantra many years later when we were in post production, and it was your best is enough. Give your best, and it will be enough.
I hope that was useful. If you're interested in learning more about micro and low budget film production, I suggest you check out How to Make an Indie Feature for $10,000 with Sean and Taylor King. They've pretty much got their own little production company and studio set up and make a film every year, get them out there and actually make profit on them. So it's a really interesting chat. See you on the next one.